Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. This is a very interesting little story today. I posted on Facebook. I named it "Died on the Last Day of the 2010 Oil Show." Okay. A few years ago, somebody created a fake Facebook account with the name of Michael Williams and sent me a friend request. I saw that we had 6 mutual friends who were other people from Midland, Odessa, so I accepted it. Maybe they know something. I later found out that the real Michael Williams had died on the last day of the 2010 Permian Basin International Oil Show. This was the week that Angie Mungia Herrley told me about a young girl being murdered at one of the after-hours oil show parties when she refused to prostitute. Angie was afraid to report this murder and said that high-level police were also at those parties. I believe those parties were held in the underground home said to be here by multiple people, including a guy that was running for Midland Sheriff. And based on old Google Maps, it looks like one of the underground homes is in my backyard. This made me wonder if Michael's death was connected to the murder of the young girl at the oil show parties that Angie told me about. There has to be some reason this person went to the trouble of stealing Michael's picture and information to contact me on Facebook. I contacted his widow, Michael's widow, Tymber Williamson, who told me that Michael was fixing to be arrested, so he killed himself. I was wondering if she could tell me where Michael was at during the evenings of the oil show when the parties were going on, but she couldn't and said that they were separated for that week. Tymber then became extremely rude. I took screenshots of her smearing my name and threats from her and her friends. That threw up red flags. I wonder where she was at when the oil show parties were going on. As seen in the screenshots, another woman told me that Michael didn't kill himself. They thought for the longest time that his wife staged it. But Mike was going to leave his wife because he found out a bunch of stuff about her and it freaked him out. Him and my brother were good friends. He was going to put it out there, but he died before he got the chance. That's what I was told. I'm going to show you here a couple screenshots. The top one is the ID. I put the number in there for law enforcement, if we can find law enforcement, if they still exist, real law enforcement, to trace him down, because obviously that's a clue. He stole the picture, name, date of birth, everything from Michael Williams. They had 6 mutual friends, and I think these people might know something about Michael Williams and what happened to him, okay? And then on the bottom is where somebody said, hey, go look this up. Michael's dead. And I went and found his obituary. Michael Sean Williams, age 39, passed away on Thursday, October 28, 2010. That was the week of the 2010 oil show parties at Odessa residence. He was born in 71 to Michael Shelby Williams and Kathy Brooks Williams. He married Tymber Gonski on July 30th, 2010. He was an oil field compressor mechanic. His wife, Tymber, told me that he worked for DNR, and they did have a booth at the oil show. That's one thing she told me. Okay, I'm going to show you the other one I got here. This was a print screen from Tymber Williams right here, where she said, and she's the wife of Michael. He was 39. The cops were serving him a blue warrant to revoke his parole because he had reported for a parole violation, and they were going to serve him, so he shot himself in the head. So he killed himself. That didn't make any sense. And then another person told me, I kept her anonymous, it says Michael didn't kill himself. They thought for the longest time that his wife staged it, and what I'd read earlier, that he was going to leave his wife and he had found out a lot of stuff, and then he died before he could. Well, then I followed this up right here with just proofs on the about the oil show parties, okay? And here, let me start here. It says, my friend Angie Mungia Herrley told me about a young girl that was murdered at one of the parties going on during the 2010 Permian Basin International Oil Show. At the time, she was leaving my home and at the parties in 5 minutes, and I know this because we're talking on the phone while she drove there. The police could just pull the phone records and verify that. For this reason, I believe those parties were held in the secret $1 million underground homes said to be here by multiple people, including a guy that was running for Midland Sheriff. That was Joe Lozano, said that Sheriff Painter used to hide out in them underground homes. I got it recorded. Based on old Google Maps, it looks like one of the 4 underground safe houses is located in my backyard. This may be where the young girl was murdered when she refused to prostitute, and who could she turn to since high-level police were also at that parties. I feel so sorry for that girl. It's kind of like me, you know. I've wondered if the late Michael Sean Williams or his widow Tymber was also at those parties. Michael had died on the last day of the oil show. Okay, I'm going to show you. I found this on Google Maps. It's now been deleted. But when you went to put in my address at 3802 Fair Circle on Google Maps, on the map screen, a large building would show up in my backyard. This is my home. This is where I shot over here. In my backyard, there's a large building. But you switch over to the satellite screen, you don't see it from above ground. So I think that's underground. I think that's one of the 4 underground homes. Okay, I told the city of Midland about it, and it got deleted. While looking at historical Google Earth maps, I found what I believe is evidence of a tunnel that was cut going from the Midland Home Depot store to my home, where one of the secret underground homes is located. I believe this tunnel was used by the people who were going to the famous oil show parties. Confirmation of this came from a woman that I recorded who told me there were 4 3-bedroom, $1 million homes and said they were having pedophile parties down there. She said on that phone call, "It's by your den. The tunnel that is coming from the Home Depot store is aimed directly at my den." In 2019, I told this story to Homeland Security agent Paul Cervantes, and 2 weeks later, the ground was dug up and concrete was poured there. I actually met them at Home Depot and showed them right where I believe the tunnel was located. Homeland is supposed to stop human trafficking, but it looks like they're covering up forced prostitution murders for this human trafficking crime ring. And as shown, a previous resident of my home, Ricky Ronaldo, told me that him and his brother used to go into the tunnels under this home when they lived here. Okay, so I'm going to just show you. This would come from historical Google Earth maps. You can find that right now if you download Google Earth and look around 2011. That's when, in June 2011, you can see where the ditch was cut out of the back of Home Depot, aimed directly at my den. That's where she says, "It's by your den. It's by your den." And then in the backyard is one of the underground homes where the parties were going on, where they were the forced prostitution murders. And here's Ricky Ronaldo that law enforcement talked to. When I was a kid, there were tunnels in the house. Me and my brother used to always go down there. He said he lived in my house, and they used to go in the tunnels under it, you know. On July 2nd, 2019, I showed Homeland Security where I believed the tunnel was located, going from the Home Depot store to my home. 2 weeks later, the ground was dug up and concrete was poured. It looks like DHS is helping to cover up forced prostitution murders connected with the underground parties. And this was right here. I was right there with Homeland Security 2 weeks earlier, showing them where I believe the tunnel's at, and now they're pouring concrete 2 weeks later. And once again, I'm just showing you where we're at and where I believe that the human trafficking murder tunnel is located that Homeland helped cover up. Homeland Security, that's supposed to stop human trafficking, and it looks like here they're helping the human traffickers murder little girls. That's what it looks like to me. It just makes sense that after-hour parties held for the Permian Basin International Oil Show would need a lot of parking and some excuse to explain that, right? Well, I was telling my story to a clerk at Home Depot, and she said, "If you happen to see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, then it's because we're stalking." I got the feeling that she was giving me a clue. I believe this is where Angie and the other people at the oil show parties parked, and that would include the murdered girl and the high-level police said to be there. This is a 50,000-foot view. Here's my home. Here's the underground home in the backyard. Here's the tunnel that was cut going from my home. Here's the bathrooms on the back of Home Depot, where I'm going to talk about in a minute. And here's the big parking lot down front. If you see a lot of cars in the parking lot late at night, it's because we're stalking. Wink, wink, wink. You know. Okay. My next one says, Tisha told me that her sister used to go to the oil show parties and confirm they were in underground homes. I got a print screen on that. Tisha Ann Wilkinson Brumley. That says, I've had friends that have been involved in those oil show parties. They're exactly what you say. They are underground homes, and my sister used to go to them. That's what she said. Here's another guy. This guy told me that he asked a friend about the basement in the Home Depot store, and she sternly warned him, it's dangerous to talk about that. Here, I'm going to show you this print screen right here. This is another one, you know. And he says, I mentioned the basement being under Midland Home Depot to a girl. He says, and her first response was, how do you know this? Be careful who you're talking to about this and how that's dangerous. You need to be careful who you're talking to about that. So I know she knows, you know. And so once again, there's one more person. Sylvia Flores told me that when she was going to Lee High School, the other kids told her about parties behind the Home Depot store. See, Sylvia wrote me right here, buddy. 1990 was when I first heard of kids at Lee High talking about going behind Home Depot to party. I never went because they said it was under a ditch. Scary. Okay. Flo Rivas Rocha told me that her son and his friends heard kids under the bathroom floor at Home Depot. The bathrooms are next to where it's believed the human trafficking murder tunnel is located. She said, my son works at Home Depot and his co-workers heard kids underneath the bathroom floor. Okay. And it is, I showed you a minute ago, it's on that back wall right next to where the human trafficking murder tunnel is located. Here's another one. Julia Weidman set up a meeting with James Rawls from the city of Midland because she wanted to see the permit records that Layla O'Brien had spoken about. Layla, a CAD programmer, had told me that she worked on this underground safe house project that was completed in 1987 with a budget on permit for $7.35 million. She said it was put in for the Bushes who lived in Midland before being elected as president. There's two Bushes, right? In 1987, George H.W. Bush was vice president under Reagan. That's when it was said they were built. My home was built in 82. Layla worked for PBK and said they also built a school in Midland. She was very credible, and it's real easy to verify what she's saying. Julia said, when I asked James Rawls about the permit records for storm shelters in Midland, he, with a smile, told me that all the permit records prior to 2015 had been destroyed or lost due to an attempt to digitize the department's records in 2014-2015. I was shot in 2012. I wondered why they didn't make backups before the upgrade. All IT people know that is how you do this without losing required data. She also said, when I brought up the subject of the basement under Home Depot, it clearly unnerved him. But he was downright gloating about those missing records. Ha, 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 ha. I did a Google search on James Rawls and saw that he used to work for Home Depot before he went to work for the city of Midland. Well, it ain't an amazing coincidence. Here's Layla. I got her print screen, $7.35 million. On permit. See, it says on permit. Okay. And here's what I just read you from Julia Weidman. She sent me an email in 2019 after she drove from Dallas to Midland to meet James Rawls. And then when I Googled James Rawls, oh, guess what? He was paint supervisor at the Home Depot store. What a coinky dinky, ain't it? Oh, what a small little world. Okay, I thought y'all'd find that interesting. There should be no doubt that them underground homes are here. That's where they're having the oil show parties. And what I wonder if Michael Williams' death or murder is connected to the girl that was murdered at the oil show parties that had high-level police there. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.